Hello, how are you? My name is Sarah. Welcome back. Today I am going to be showing you how I set up goals for 2026 and how I reflected on 2025. I would have liked to film this video over Christmas because I actually did like the goal setting and I created like a becoming board, which is similar to a vision board, with my sister, and we wanted to film it together, but we didn't end up doing it. It was just, I don't know, it was just too annoying to do the setup at home, and like we just wanted to, enjoy ourselves and do it together. But I'm going to be showing you how I did it, and I've asked my sister to film a little clip of, her becoming board, vision board as well, and so you'll be seeing that too. But before that, I just wanted to show you briefly how I did my end of the year reflections. So the first thing I did was in my Hobonichi Kosen, I just went through my 2025 weeks and, flip through the pages, look at the entries. I look at my mid-year reflections, which I have at the beginning of the notebook. Let me just find it here. Yeah, so I did my mid-year reflections and review here. Then I also had at the end some kind of like monthly, end of the month reflections and stuff like that. Flip through some of my journaling entries. So that kind of thing. It was more like, I was just writing here from each month the things that were like standing out to me, like the things that like, caught my attention, whether it was like positive things or negative ones, and, just put it all here together. And then I took that, and with this in mind, I went into my 2026 Hobonichi weeks. And in the first pages from the weekly, if you're not familiar with the Hobonichi weeks, it starts in December, but because I was still using my 2025 weeks, I wanted to use these pages to have a bit of like a reflection of the year. So I know for some people actually, like I've seen some people mentioning that like they prefer more like prompts that are a bit more concrete and maybe having quite a few prompts, because that like helps them to maybe like answer them like shorter and like just maybe like helps them to think about the year more. To be honest, I prefer the opposite. I used to have like a long list of tons of prompts for the end of year reflection, but I guess the perfectionism, the perfectionist in me felt that like, I had to answer all the questions and I had to ask them, like, answer them thoroughly and all of that. And, it just felt like a really daunting task. So now what I do is I really simplify, how I do my yearly reflections. And what I do is first just talk a little bit about like describing the year, kind of like what were the main things, what themes, what were the main things that happened, that kind of stuff. So I feel like this little page with like, the things that when I was like reviewing and, flipping through my entries and all of that like, felt like the most important. Then I like to reflect on my highlights of the year, and I subdivided this in 3 sections. The first one was for achievements, so anything that I felt proud that I did that year. Doesn't need to be something big, it can be something really small, but just things that like felt like hitting a milestone, even if it was like small. So for example, I talk about like journaling consistently, I talk about like starting this YouTube channel, which to be honest I didn't even think I would be doing in 2025, but it happened, and it felt like an achievement as well. Opening like a lifetime ISA, which is like a bank account here in the UK for savings, things like that. Then I wrote about my favorite memories, so the moments, whether they're big or small, that kind of like stuck with me that year. That like, again, like the moments that felt important. And I didn't plan it this way, but I think like I ended up doing as like a top 10. They're not in order from more important to list or anything like that. And then lastly, in this highlight section, I had the things that I enjoyed. So this can be things as simple as like a new recipe you tried, maybe a song that you were playing on repeat, an album, a book that like you really enjoyed, a movie, that kind of thing. And then the next part for me is to like reflect also about my struggles. We're not approaching this with the intention to like, shame ourselves or anything like that, but it's just to recognize the things that were difficult for you that year. Some might be under your control, and there are things that you can be more mindful of, and others might be out of your control, and like, you just need to work through them and process them or learn to accept them or whatever it is. So I did write about some of those things as well. And again, it doesn't need to be big things. It can just be something small as well. And the last part of this reflection of the year for me, it's what were the lessons from the year. So I just, again, I ended up with like a top 10 here, and it can just be like things that like, because I guess like lessons sometimes can sound a bit too like deep, like, you need to have maybe like a light bulb moment. So I like to think about it as like also like realizations, just something you notice, whether it's about yourself, about life, about other people. I would put those things in here. Now I know these questions might feel a bit too general, and if you've not had a practice that you've been like journaling or doing weekly or monthly reflections or something like that, it might be difficult to remember those things. So yeah, I just hope these are helpful for you. They certainly are for me. Then the next thing we did, and this is what I started to do with my sister, was a brainstorm for our goals for 2026. So let me just show you how we did it. We kind of follow exercises from two different people. One of them is Jessie Corin, and the other one is Karin Nordin, or Nordin, can never remember how you pronounce her surname. But yeah, I mean, you might be familiar with their channels, especially Jessie Corin, like, she's got like a big channel in YouTube, so you've probably seen it, especially if you're into goals and that kind of thing. But I'll just show you how we did it, because we didn't follow either of them to the T, basically. So anyway, the first step was a good old brainstorm, and this very much we took it from Jessie Corin, where like she recommends having maybe divide, like if you have like like an A4 or an A3 or whatever, like a big page divided into two, or if you have like an A5 like I do here, you can use 2 pages. But basically in one side you're gonna do the brainstorm more as like a mind map, and in the other one as a list, and you get different things from it. Like in one maybe you're just writing like a word or something, and in the other one maybe you're a bit more detailed about like a specific thing you want to achieve. So you can see like different things. In the video that she posted, she said that like she set a timer for like 5 minutes. I feel like 5 minutes was a bit too short. I think my sister and I ended up doing a 15-minute timer, but you can play with it and see what feels best for you. Maybe 5 minutes feels perfectly fine. Maybe you need 10. I don't know. I would give myself like, you can continue to add things, but I feel like you don't want to like stay here like forever. You want the ideas to flow quickly. The next exercise we did was kind of like your 2.0 version. We got this from an exercise from Karin Nordin that it's about like, I think she calls it future self map. I link it below, where she explains it and stuff like that. I think it's kind of like a mini course that she has on her website, but it's for free, so like you just need to put your email and you get the details. Once we had this, the next thing we did was improved future self kind of like exercise. So I got this from Karin Nordin. I'll link the video where she explains it and all that stuff, but basically would be your 2.0 version, and you would write this, you want to write this in like a third person. So for example, I would be like, Sarah 2.0 is the kind of person that does blah blah. And in here I like that like we try to focus more on behaviors. Now I can't remember if in the exercise she was saying to, like, dream really big or not. But to me, I find more useful, rather than thinking about my ideal self or my ideal life or something like that, I find it more useful to think about, like, steps that I could see myself taking, that I don't see them like so removed from like where my life is currently at, that like they can still feel, it's still like a big improvement maybe from the things that I'm doing, but it still feels realistic. So then, with this, we kind of like moved to doing our becoming board. So this is also from like Karen Nordin, and she makes a difference between the vision board and the becoming board, because with the becoming board, you're again focusing more on like the person you're becoming, the actions you're taking, and not so much on the end result. And of course, like, you can do a vision board in that way too, like, but I did find useful to think more about that, because again, like, this idea of like sometimes like some goals can feel like so far away from my like current life that like just, I don't know, yeah, I prefer to focus more on those things. So then what she recommends is to get your, like what you've written about your 2.0 version, and think about what kind of images would this person be seeing on, their day-to-day life. And you can write a list of those, or I don't know, I didn't end up doing that. I was just like, reading through this and looking for images and stuff like that. Now, I'm sorry, like, I know the lighting is not the best to see these little pictures, but I'll just talk you through them anyway. So the first one that I included was about someone studying, so just like someone with a tea, kind of like romanticizing this studying life, because I'm doing a course and I want like a course online from home, so I want to finish it, and that just represents me being, consistent with it and following through with what I've said I will do and all that stuff. Then the next one, just represents for me like enjoying my downtime, and it's next to like a schedule in a Hobonichi Kosen, and then someone working. So basically those three images for me represent kind of like being focused at work, but then at the same time also like respecting a schedule. I work from home and sometimes that can be difficult. So like having like a more structured day where I work in my work hours and then I have downtime, like then I have like time in the evening that I can enjoy for myself. I like divide it a bit more, because sometimes the borders are not so well defined when you work from home. Then the next two images are someone walking and a park. And I made a point of finding one that was like looking a bit rainy or a bit dark, because, rainy days in the UK are very frequent. And something I want to do this new year, it's going on walks a bit more and moving my body a bit more, because, again, working from home, I sometimes don't even leave the house, and that's not great. Then I have a picture with kind of like meal prepping. I want to focus this a bit later on the year. I'm trying to not focus on all the things I want to do and all the, habits or goals or whatever at the same time, because then it can feel very overwhelming. So I like to divide them per quarter, and I'll show you how I've done that. But that's something that I want to work on this year. Again, someone going to the gym. I'm not doing it at the moment, but it's something I want to at least give it another go, because I was very consistent for a while and I was actually enjoying it, but I just stopped and I've not gone back to it. Someone doing their finances and kind of like, budget, having a spreadsheet for it, which is something I want to get better at. Then we have an old phone, which I just put because I want to call my mom a bit more often and be a bit more in touch with my family in general, friends. I live in the UK, but I'm originally from Spain, so it can be tricky sometimes to stay in touch for me. So that's something I want to do. Then there's a cat saying no, because I want to be a bit more assertive. I want to have like more boundaries for myself of like, if I need to rest, not saying yes to everything or all the external kind of like demands or anything like that. Someone resting on the sofa because I want to take time to rest and not feel bad about it. Then the course that I'm doing, I put a picture of kind of like as if I had finished the certificate. Then these two are because I would love to do a road trip with my sister. We did one a few years ago, and it's still like a very cherished memory for both of us, even though she was sick for most of the trip and then I got sick at the end. But it was still like a really lovely trip, so we would like to do something similar again. Then I have some pictures of things that I would like to do with my partner. So there is a beach nearby, but that I've never been, so I would like to go there. Obviously not now when the weather is nicer. Going for a hike, maybe having like a little picnic on the park. So just some ideas of things that we could do together. Then this, I guess, is the one that like it's more big dream. I guess something I was thinking last year is that like at some point in my life I would love to live in a cute cottage. I don't know if that's ever gonna happen, but I decided to pick the picture in there because why not? And for this year maybe it could mean like I book a weekend in like a nice cottage or something like that, and I just go and enjoy the time there. Then I have a few pictures of things that I would like to do this year that maybe are more related with like hobbies or things like that. So these are a bit more like, well, I would like to do them, but that's not the end of the world, I guess, if I end up not doing it. But I would like to try them. And the first one is not so much that, but it's just, someone enjoying their time in the garden. Again, this is for more when the weather is a bit nicer. I did enjoy very much last year spending time in our garden, sitting there, having lunch there, and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely want to do the same this year. And then someone doing gardening, which I did a bit last year, and I would like to do the same. And maybe going to like sewing class and a dance class. So now I'm gonna insert the clip of my sister talking about her becoming bored. Let me know if you would like her to do a little techo gaigi. I've asked her if she would like it, and she's open to it. So if you'd like to see my sister's techo gaigi, let me know and we can make it happen.
Hello everyone, I'm Luna, and this is my first time recording my voice for a YouTube channel, so I'm a bit nervous. I always wanted to try though, and I'm so happy it's for my sister's channel. Sometimes I even forgot how to speak in Spanish, so sorry in advance. By the way, this beautiful Hobonichi cover is a gift from my sister. I'm a One Piece fan since I was 11 years old, so I really love this cover. So let's talk about my becoming bored. My biggest priority this year is to pay attention to my work-life balance. I'm a freelance artist and I usually work a lot. These past months started affecting my health more than usually, so I want to have more time for myself and a good schedule which includes free time. That's the most important for me. I also want to spend more time with my cat, playing with him or just relaxing with him or whatever. When I feel stressed, he becomes so stressed too, and I felt pretty bad for him these past months. I think that I have been not paying as attention to him as I want. Another no, when I'm tired, I just go with the flow to the point I don't know what I want to do and what I don't. And everything becomes like a task, so I want to give me more time to think about it. The summary of almost everything I'm going to talk about next is to spend more time doing what I really like to do. Lately, I've been craving for traditional art. Since I finished university, I have been drawing too much in digital, and I want to practice and experiment some more. I have some new wash I really want to try. I also love writing. I have been improving a lot this year, but lately I've been feeling like I need to pay more attention to writing with a message and with purpose, and talking about things that makes me emotional. I have some fantasy projects which I really want to pay more attention to. I have another one here. It's a photo about someone signing a book because I think I'll finally finish my first project this year, and I want to have that in mind and to get more informed about publishing houses and everything I need. What else? I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, new recipes. I would like to try some new recipes. I like to cook, but I get bored easily, so I need new things to try. I want to also work on opening my art online shop, and I need to do more personal content for that. It's hard to see in the photo, but I want to do more voice recording like this, especially with my friends or my sister. I always had a lot of fun doing voice recording, but I'm too shy and I never did it to share since today. I play Dungeons and Dragons with my friends, and we have a project in mind of opening a shared channel. And I want to work for that, even if it's just actually recording or trying to find good recording devices and stuff. I also want to spend more quality time with the people I love. Okay, what else? Yeah, this photo it's just because I want to try going to work to the library, because sometimes working from home it's hard to manage. This image is for trying to be more constant in reading, and yeah, sometimes I really like to read, but when I'm busy it's hard to keep constant. Those two are because I don't feel really comfortable with my clothes, and I want to pay attention to that, even if it's just thinking about which kind of clothes would make me feel better, especially style, but also comfort. This cat with the controller, it's because I want to finish at least one video game this year, because it takes me forever to just finishing one. Those 5 photos are health related. I want to do more exercise. Swimming will be so good for my back, and walking would help me to ease my mind a little. And I'm also expecting a surgery, and I hope this is a year. Well, relaxed. Just yeah, I guess you can see for what I'm talking about. So yeah, relaxing is the other most important thing for the year. And as a good little sister, I'm coping my big sis, so I really want to travel with her again. And I think that's all. Probably I'll be around here some other time. Bye bye.
Now that you've seen my sisters becoming bored, I also wanted to talk a little bit about how I've structured the different goals that we brainstorm. And I thought about doing it in different ways. I actually first tried, because I was thinking of doing this in the way that if you're familiar with the Common Planner from Sterling Ink, it has like a page where it's like a goal breakdown, and it basically says the area, how the goal would look, someday, like your biggest kind of like goal for that area, how would it look like in 1 year, milestones for like the mid-year term, quarterly, and then maybe like actions or milestones again for like, monthly, and then weekly, daily. I started doing it this way, but it just felt too overwhelming for me. I just started to feel like, oh my god, there are all these things that I have to do. And then I can't remember the name of the channel, but I'll put it on the screen and link it down below in the description. I don't know if it was like planning for my energy, something like that. But basically they break it down in a different way, where like, they have like an intention for each area, but then different actions based on whether you have like low energy, medium energy, high energy. And I believe they also have like an option for like spinning and an option for like a stock, which I ended up not adding, but I like that because I feel like it's way more like useful if you struggle with like any like chronic illness or, you know, mental health or things like that. This year I had a few months where I was feeling like completely exhausted, and like, you know, sometimes you just need to rest and that's it. But maybe if you want to still make some progress, it's a good way to like have different actions and that you can take based on your energy level. I think like I tend to be a bit of like an all or nothing, kind of like have a bit of like an all or nothing mentality, and it's obviously not the best because then sometimes it means you're not doing anything at all. Where like maybe, so for example, I'm thinking about this course that I'm making, and yes, of course I can you know, sit down and do 2 hours one day if I'm feeling like, you know, really motivated and all of that. But then on the days that I'm not, or I'm very tired, I could still like maybe do 5 or 10 minutes of the course and I'm still making progress. Yes, it's not as much. Yes, it's not maybe the ideal thing that I would like to do, but it's still good. So that's kind of like what I try to do. I basically have a column first with like the different areas of my life. Obviously you can do this in whatever areas are useful for you, but I'll just mention how I have it divided in case you want to some inspiration basically. So I have career, health, life toolkit, which I basically use it for more like, for example, I need to improve my focus and distractions, and so things like that, like, you know, maybe habits that like are more based on like how you behave in certain things and you want to change. Relationships, home, finances, and free time. That could be also maybe like hobbies or something like that if you wanted to. And then I just set some kind of like general intentions. I didn't go with like SMART goals or anything like that. I didn't make it like very specific or measurable or, you know, any of those things. So some of them are like, you know, finding a more stable job, or I'm working towards it, taking care of my mind and body. For life toolkit, it was like reduce friction and distractions with routines and boundaries. Relationships, it was like spend quality time with my loved ones to feel connected. So, you know, things like that. Then maybe for others it was a bit more specific, right? So in career, I had in the career part, I had finished this project management course that I'm doing. So it was a bit of like a mix, but in general, trying to be like very gentle and more based on like how I'm feeling about that area. And then on this second, in the other page, I did put like some more concrete actions. So this was again like I based on like low energy, medium energy, high energy. So for example, taking the course example that I mentioned before, low energy would be I do 5 or 10 minutes. Medium energy is like I do 30 minutes to 1 hour, and, you know, high energy is I do 1 hour to 2 hours of that. And I did this for like, you know, all the different areas. So for example, with you know, spending quality time with my partner, how that could look like if we are both feeling very tired, how that can look like if we both have, you know, more energy. Things like that. And I really like this, and I recommend if you're someone that struggles with, again, mental health or illness or anything like that, I would really recommend maybe looking at it in this way. I'll link the video from the channel that I saw it first, because I really like how they explain it, so highly recommend. And I just have a couple more things that I want to show. The first one is my quarterly planning. So I ended up in the Hobonichi weeks, you get a few extra months, so from 2027, that I'm just not going to be using. So I decided to use those pages for my quarterly planning, and basically what I did was setting up kind of like choosing a focus for this, you know, first quarter of the year, kind of like what are my main priorities, and then I divided it into like try to set like a milestone for each week of the first quarter. One extra thing that I did, and this is another exercise from like Karen Nordin, that like when you're doing this future self exercise, she recommends first you do your 2.0 version. Then from that you think about like what would be the qualities that 2.0 version has, and then from those qualities you think about a behavior that could be that could represent that quality. And it needs to be something really small that you could do even if you're very tired and things like that. So I did that exercise too, and I would really recommend to do it, because it makes goals feel like very manageable, and it's something that like I definitely need in this point in life. So I ended up choosing being more intentional, more competent. I put consistent, but I don't know if that's the word exactly that I want. Basically what I want is someone that follows through with what they've said they're gonna do. So if you know what like an adjective that could describe that, let me know. But yeah, I have consistent here, but I think I'm just gonna change it to like follow through and something like that. And then self-caring. And the behaviors that I picked for each of those are with intentional. I'm thinking especially about like being more intentional with my focus, and when I'm working, really focusing on work and things like that. So I said that for that I'm going to start a web blocker app that I have as soon as I sit on my desk to start my workday. Then with competent, it's completing one planned task daily. Then for follow through or consistent, 5 minutes of my project management course daily. And then with self-caring, this is the 5 minutes of walk daily. I've already been walking more than 5 minutes, but making it so small makes it like, if you feel really exhausted, you can be like, look, it's fine, I just need to do it for 5 minutes. And it really helps me to like get started. And in order to track those, I just have like a weekly tracker here in each week, and I kind of like do it that way. And then the last thing that I've done for my kind of like goals and intentions for 2026 is I took this double date again of like one of the extra months that you get, and it's kind of like a bucket list for 2026, or I don't know, huge bingo card, I guess. I've not filled it in completely, and I think I would do that maybe month by month. My idea is that each row belongs more or less to a month, but obviously if I end up not doing something that month, I can do it in a different one. I can just not do it. But the idea for this one is to have some more fun things, and some things that maybe some tasks that are like a one-off but that I always keep postponing. So I have some like house things that maybe are a bit more than just like vacuum. It's more like, so for example, the ventilation in our bathroom is not very good, and there was like mold on the ceiling, so I needed to clean it, and I just kept postponing it, and I finally did it today, and this was on my bucket list, so I can cross that. Or my idea is also to put a little picture once these things have been done. So yeah, one column is going to be for things that maybe I keep postponing. One, it's going to be for just me time, so things that I want to do by myself that I enjoy, whether it's like having a bath or going charity shopping or go to a new cafe, anything like that. Then the next one, at least in most of them, it's things to do with my partner. We sometimes are not the best because we live together at making time to like do things together and go out to do something. So we've just been talking about like some ideas that we would like to do during the year. Then the next one, which is very empty, I wanted to do it about more like social things with friends, which is something that I a struggle. I don't have that many friends in the UK, but even if it's like long distance, friends, like even if it's like sending a letter to a friend or something like that, those are still things that I can do. So I need to do a bit more thinking about that. But yeah, as you can see, it's not all filled in, but I have some ideas already, and I'll continue to add during the year. And yeah, my plan is at the end of the year, I'm hoping to have lots of little pictures here of the different things that I've been doing, which again, this is a place more for like fun things, not so much like chores or anything like that. Well, some chores too. Hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you very soon with my next one. Bye!